So let's go to the next category of disclosures that are required under the Truth in Savings Act. Go ahead and go to page 9. At the top of the page there, change in terms. Okay, so first off, we've got, there's a lot of changes in terms that are out there. Whatever you're doing, if you're going to change something, there's a requirement that you let them know. And so take a look at the top of page 9 now, letter A, any change that triggers one of these things. Okay, so it's if you're going to change a term that is required to be disclosed. Okay, so it's a required term. It's something that you disclosed on the front end. And if you're going to change any of those required things, so if you flip through that list and you go back to pages 1 and 2, I believe on 3, yep, any of those things, if you're going to change it, you need to send them out a notice. Okay, so that's one. Or if the change that if you're going to reduce the APY or the annual percentage yield, and we'll talk about that in more detail as well, or if the change that you are going to put in place is going to adversely impact the customer. So in other words, it's going to be worse off for the customer after this change is implemented. Okay, then there's a required notice. And so first off, what do you need to let them know? First thing, you're going to let them know when this change is going to occur. So what is the effective date of whatever change that you're putting into place? And then you have to let them know, the notice has to go out 30 days before that effective date. Okay, so you have 30 days beforehand. Now, keep in mind here, usually where I see issues, it's because, okay, if you're thinking, okay, this is the effective date of the change, we're going to let them know 30 days out beforehand. We're going to put it into that statement. Here's the problem. A lot of banks, they don't realize, or they forget that your statements may not all be cut on the same date. They may not be mailed out at the same time. Sometimes it's a rolling process where some of your statements go out in the first week, some of them go out in the second week, sometimes they go out in the third week, and maybe there's a rolling process there. So that 30-day time frame may be different depending on the, where they're at in that process. So keep in mind, you don't want to get yourself in trouble. Give yourself plenty of time. It's that minimum 30 days before the effective date of the change. But again, it's, you don't want to get yourself into trouble because you forgot that, some of these are going out later in the month than others. Okay. Also, if you are just sending out new disclosures, all right. So let's say you're changing something that was required to be disclosed. And so you're just going to send them out a whole new disclosure. That's not okay. You actually have to highlight what changed. Okay, so if you're not going to tell them specifically in some blurb, maybe in an account statement where you say this is exactly what we're changing and this is the impact on you, if you're just going to give them a whole new disclosure, keep in mind you need to highlight the portions that have changed. Okay, so that's what it's getting at under number 3 there. Also, look at letter B. No notice is required under these circumstances. So maybe the change is just the APY, but it's on a variable rate account. So you already told them on the front end that there's going to be changes to the rate. Okay, so you told them in the front end, so there's not, you're going to change the APY, but that's okay. It's an exception here. Also, if you're changing fees, if it's related to check printing, you don't have to send out a notice for that one. Or if it's a change in terms on a time account and it matures 1 month or less, again, since it's such a short amount of time, you don't have to send out a change in terms notice, because really, when you think of the calendar timeline there, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.